Hey, Celtics Nation. We're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved Boston Celtics. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll always stay up to date and never miss out on any exclusive news. The Boston Celtics sent shockwaves across the entire NBA landscape this week when a bombshell statement emerged from the team's front office, acknowledging, almost in disbelief, that they regretted the decision to trade JRUE Holiday. This revelation, dropping like an unexpected thunderclap, has fans, analysts, and rival teams scrambling to comprehend the magnitude of what was just admitted. For years, Holiday was viewed by many as a vital piece, a glue guy whose defensive prowess and playmaking skills could turn games on a dime, a player whose influence often extended beyond mere statistics. To hear the Celtics now publicly admit remorse over his departure feels surreal, almost unprecedented in a league where front offices usually guard their mistakes behind layers of PR finesse. Immediately, social media exploded with speculation, with fans dissecting every nuance of the statement, questioning what exactly led to the regret and whether this admission signals a potential attempt to bring Holiday back to Boston. Pundits on various sports networks began theorizing about possible motives behind the confession, suggesting everything from internal mismanagement to the pressures of an underperforming roster this season, and the ripple effects of this revelation are expected to influence trade talks for months to come. Rumors began circulating within hours of the announcement, with insiders hinting that the Celtics' current roster struggles may have amplified the sense of loss felt by management. The trade that sent Holiday to the Portland Trail Blazers, initially hailed as a strategic move to balance contracts and acquire future assets, now appears under a drastically different lens, one shaded by the weight of hindsight and undeniable acknowledgement of a potential misstep. Analysts argue that Holiday's combination of defensive intensity, court vision, and leadership presence is nearly impossible to replace, a reality that Boston is now forced to confront openly. The Celtics front office has always prided itself on meticulous planning and calculated risks, but admitting regret so publicly hints at internal tensions that may have been simmering beneath the surface for some time. Some speculate that this revelation could be a strategic maneuver, perhaps a subtle signal to Holiday himself, to open the door for reconciliation or even a potential return. Fans are now fervently debating the ethics and practicality of such a move, considering the contractual intricacies and the dynamic changes in Portland since Holiday's arrival. While the league watches closely, aware that this could set a precedent for front office transparency or, alternatively, public pressure influencing future trades. The timing of this regretful revelation is curious, coinciding with a stretch of games where Boston's performance has been inconsistent at best, and injuries, chemistry issues, and unexpected losses have left fans and analysts alike questioning the depth and strategy of the current roster. Holiday, in Portland, has continued to perform at a high level, exhibiting the very traits Boston now admits they miss dearly: poise under pressure, elite defensive rotations, and the ability to facilitate offense efficiently. It's a paradoxical situation where the success of a former player amplifies the perception of loss for his previous team, creating a narrative rich with irony and tension. Conversations in sports media have taken on a speculative tone, discussing whether this public acknowledgement might be the first step toward a highly complex negotiation or simply an expression of frustration with circumstances that cannot be undone. Celtics fans, long accustomed to the team's disciplined approach to roster construction, now find themselves swept up in the drama, dissecting whether this admission reflects a genuine strategic reconsideration or an emotional reaction born from the sting of unmet expectations. The implications extend beyond Boston, affecting how other teams might approach trade discussions with a heightened awareness that regret, once publicly stated, can influence player movement and fan perception significantly. Portland Trail Blazers fans, conversely, have reacted with a mix of amusement, pride, and anxiety, aware that their current star player is at the center of one of the NBA's most talked-about admissions of regret in recent memory. For Holiday himself, the announcement may be flattering, validating the impact he had in Boston, but also introduces layers of pressure and speculation about his future, a narrative now intertwined with the Celtics' public confession. League insiders suggest that such a rare public statement by a franchise could alter the dynamics of upcoming trades, free agency discussions, and contract negotiations, as teams may perceive an opportunity to leverage the Celtics' admission. There's also a psychological component, with commentators highlighting how acknowledgement of past mistakes by a team can reverberate through locker rooms, shaping player morale and organizational identity. Social media has been ablaze with fan-created memes, deep dives, and threads theorizing potential what-if scenarios, a reflection of how modern sports culture magnifies and amplifies such dramatic admissions. The story, initially a quiet internal reflection, has transformed into a national conversation, leaving both franchises, their fans, and the NBA ecosystem in a state of heightened curiosity and speculative frenzy, the kind that only rare sports moments generate. The ramifications of this admission are complex, touching on the economics, strategy, and human elements of professional basketball. Trades are not merely transactional. They shape locker room chemistry, fan loyalty, and the narrative arcs of players' careers. By openly expressing regret, the Celtics have humanized the business side of the league in an unusual and vulnerable way, revealing that even meticulous, data-driven organizations can misjudge talent and timing. Analysts are debating the potential outcomes, from short-term performance slumps to long-term roster reshuffling, considering whether Boston might pursue aggressive moves in the near future to correct the perceived mistake. The ripple effect extends to player agents, contract negotiations, and rival front offices, each reading the admission for clues about Boston's priorities, appetite for risk, and willingness to re-engage with past players. There's a subtle drama in the air, as though the league itself has been handed a plot twist, complete with potential sequels involving trades, signings, or player movements inspired by a single, regretful acknowledgement. Sports talk shows, podcasts, and digital platforms are treating this revelation as a watershed moment, dissecting every word, gesture, and implication, while fans on forums debate if this admission might be more than just words, perhaps a precursor to concrete action on the hardwood in the coming months. Finally, the human element of this story cannot be ignored, as emotions, pride, and nostalgia intertwine with professional decision-making in a way rarely seen in public statements from elite sports franchises. Celtics management is grappling with the consequences of a high-profile mistake, acknowledging that even the most data-driven approaches cannot fully account for intangible qualities like leadership, resilience, and the subtle influence a player like Holiday brings to a team dynamic. The narrative of regret opens up conversations about accountability in sports management, the pressures of maintaining competitive advantage, and the unpredictable nature of team chemistry, reminding everyone that behind every trade, statistic, and headline are human stories with emotional weight. Fans are energized, commentators are thrilled, and the NBA is alive with speculation, all fueled by a single dramatic acknowledgement that disrupts conventional expectations. Whether this will lead to a reunion, a shakeup of Boston's roster, or simply remain an infamous example of managerial candor, the story has already cemented itself in the broader tapestry of league history, a testament to the enduring power of talent, timing, and the tantalizing drama of what could have been in professional sports. The aftermath of Boston's public admission of regret regarding Jrue Holiday has unleashed a wave of speculation not only within the Celtics organization, but across the entire NBA, leaving fans, analysts, and rival teams grappling with the implications. Portland, now home to Holiday, has suddenly become the focal point of a narrative that blends talent evaluation, emotional storytelling, and high-stakes strategy, forcing the Trailblazers to consider how this unexpected confession might influence player sentiment, market perception, and even internal dynamics. Analysts argue that the Celtics' acknowledgement could serve as a subtle psychological nudge, potentially opening a channel for future trade negotiations or even a highly improbable reunion. Meanwhile, Celtics supporters are caught between frustration and hope, poring over every rumor, tweet, and insider report, attempting to discern whether this regret is purely rhetorical or a strategic setup for something tangible. Conversations in sports media highlight the rarity of such admissions, emphasizing how unusual it is for a franchise to publicly recognize a potentially game-altering mistake, creating unique narrative tension that permeates both fan communities and professional analysis. The ripple effect of this story is likely to be felt throughout the league, influencing trade strategies, player morale, and fan engagement, elevating what was once an internal reflection into a major national talking point that continues to evolve daily. Speculation has intensified about the Celtics' potential next moves, with insiders suggesting that management may be exploring creative avenues to rectify the perceived misstep, from aggressive trade proposals to subtle outreach aimed at gauging Holiday's openness to a return. The situation has introduced an element of uncertainty that has analysts mapping out multiple what-if scenarios, each more dramatic than the last, ranging from mid-season trades to off-season blockbuster deals. Portland Trail Blazers executives, meanwhile, are acutely aware that their star player is now at the center of a narrative that could alter public perception, affect contract negotiations, and even impact the locker room atmosphere as attention for Boston and national media intensifies. Fans have flooded social media with hypothetical scenarios, drafting elaborate proposals, debating pros and cons, and imagining the emotional impact of a potential return. The Celtics' regret, once a quiet internal thought, has become a catalyst for speculation, inviting scrutiny and conversation that spans platforms, demographics, and even international borders, highlighting the interconnected nature of modern sports discourse. In essence, the story has grown beyond a single team or player, becoming a shared narrative that captivates audiences, fuels debate, and underscores the human drama inherent in professional basketball. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Meanwhile, the psychological dimension of this revelation cannot be understated, as public acknowledgement of regret adds layers of pressure and expectation on both management and players, reshaping the way teams interact internally and externally. For Holiday, the news may be flattering but also complicated, introducing the possibility of emotional and professional considerations that go beyond statistics, contracts, or on-court performance. Sports psychologists and commentators have begun analyzing how public regret from a former employer can influence a player's mindset, motivation, and even decision-making processes, creating a subtle yet powerful dynamic that could impact game performance. Celtics executives, meanwhile, are navigating a delicate balance between expressing human honesty and maintaining strategic credibility, aware that fans and rivals alike are scrutinizing every statement for intent, sincerity, and potential action. Analysts suggest that this confession might serve as both an emotional release and a tactical signal, providing a rare glimpse into the inner workings of franchise decision-making while simultaneously setting the stage for ongoing negotiations, trade rumors, and fan speculation. The story, layered with strategic intrigue and personal narrative, has captured the imagination of the NBA community, highlighting how even seasoned organizations can find themselves navigating unpredictable currents of public perception, competitive pressure, and human emotion simultaneously. Financial and strategic implications of Boston's acknowledgement are also reverberating throughout the league, with rival front offices reassessing valuations, trade flexibility, and negotiation tactics in light of this admission. Portland, now holding a player of undeniable influence, may leverage Boston's expressed regret to strengthen their own negotiating position or to maintain internal stability, ensuring Holiday remains committed and motivated. Meanwhile, Celtics executives are likely evaluating roster dynamics, potential trade partners, and salary cap considerations, exploring whether they can engineer a scenario that restores competitive balance while addressing the regret without overextending resources. Sports economists and analysts have highlighted how such a rare public acknowledgement could subtly influence market behaviors, from player valuations to contract extensions, creating a ripple effect far beyond Boston and Portland. Fans are engaged in constant debate, drafting speculative trade proposals, discussing moral and practical implications, and theorizing on potential outcomes that could reshape the landscape of the league. In this evolving drama, the interplay between emotion, strategy, and performance underscores the multifaceted nature of professional basketball, where human decisions intersect with financial realities and public perception in ways that are often as unpredictable as the games themselves, keeping the story alive and perpetually evolving. The fan reaction to this revelation has been both intense and highly creative, reflecting the modern intersection of sports, social media, and narrative culture. Boston supporters oscillate between nostalgia, regret, and strategic hope, meticulously analyzing every tweet, press release, and insider report for signs of possible action or even subtle hints toward reconciliation. Portland fans, on the other hand, revel in the irony and potential leverage created by Holiday's success, watching the drama unfold with a mix of pride, amusement, and guarded concern about how external pressures might influence their team. Across platforms, fan-driven analysis, memes, and speculative threads proliferate, creating a shared cultural experience where the story extends beyond the court into daily conversations, online discourse, and national sports media cycles. Analysts and journalists have begun to treat the Celtics' admission as more than a single moment of organizational candor. It is now a narrative touchstone, a reference point for discussions about player value, front office accountability, and the emotional complexity of professional sports management. In essence, the fans themselves have become co-authors of the ongoing story, interpreting, amplifying, and sometimes exaggerating every development, ensuring that the rumor and speculation remain alive and central to the NBA conversation, demonstrating the power of narrative in shaping perception and anticipation. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.